Hello, everybody. Sandey Adelaja here, Kyiv, Ukraine. Amonike, welcome. Rochelle White, Shegun Fatuma, Charles Smith, Fola Shade, Amonike again, greeting everyone. Gladys Nwosu, Adeleke, Obi Ojimadu, welcome. Dorothy Dora, Emmanuel Samson, Daniel Asenga, T.Y., Abraham de Jesus, Isam, Pat Agbons, Joyce, Benny Gift, Mike Phrase. Welcome, everyone. Well, today we normally do testimony time. We have testimonials tonight, and today we are going to be having testimony with a couple, a married couple that is just the typical standard European family that suffering from low self-esteem and complexes and just low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem is one of the major problem of the Caucasian Western white people. They just low self-esteem, and that's what we are going to be dealing with today. So, but you see how God helped them to turn around their situation from low self-esteem to becoming one of Pastor Boss's assistants. So these two assistants, they are in the team of Pastor Bosse, my wife. Pastor Bosse is the pastor of the Central Church where I was preaching today. And, Lena is the personal assistant to Pastor Bosse. And the husband is a pastor in Kyiv, in another city in Kyiv, but also in the Pastor Bosse's team. And so let me introduce you to Yuri and Lena. Yuri and Lena. So I'm going to introduce you to Yuri and Lena today. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and share the link. Let's go and share this link. The testimony and the story might be a blessing to a lot of people, especially people who might be suffering from low self-esteem, from complexes, and that they will be able to, hear this and be encouraged and know how to go from any depth or any low, any valley they might be into the highest mountain. So here is Yuri and Lena. Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Лена, здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Как вы? Ну что, расскажите о себе. Юрий, глава семьи, мы вам предоставляем слово.
Да, здравствуйте, дорогие друзья. Хочу рассказать о истории моей жизни, которая начиналась с больших комплексов, но благодаря церкви, благодаря Богу, я живу полноценной жизнью. И этой жизнью я еще делюсь с другими людьми. Потому что наша страна, она очень многих завела, политика страны, она завела многих комплексов. И люди живут в этих комплексах и не представляют другой жизни. И только церковь дает другой смысл жизни, другое понятие жизни, настоящее, где я могу поступать так, как я хочу, а не так, как диктует тебе общество.
So Yuri and Lena, well, Yuri is starting to talk and saying that, we grew up in a country that used to be one of the greatest countries in the world before. The former Soviet Union used to be one of the superpowers, and then the country collapsed. And from being on top of the world, from seeing yourself as a citizen of the world and as a citizen of one of the most important countries in the world, you started confronting all kind of economic problems and social issues, and the politics of the land just brought you to a level of poverty, a level of poverty, inferiority complex, that you hate yourself, you hate to live, you hate to be in your country, you hate to be a citizen of your land, and you're suffering so much that you just develop low self-esteem and complexes. Much like the Germans after the war, that was a national problem in Germany. After the war, a lot of Germans were really ashamed of calling themselves Germans or of traveling outside of the country, because everybody would be pointing accusing fingers at them and saying that you are the ones who are to blame for all the wars and for all the millions of people. Up to now, a lot of them are still carrying that stigma in them of shame, of low self-esteem, and if you go to mid-Europe right now, Germany in particular also, many people have that problem of low self-esteem because of shame, because of complexes. And so that's where we came from, until we came to the church, and the church set us free from low self-esteem, from complexes, and that's how we began a new life. That is Yura saying that. Okay.
Да, и мое детство, оно прошло в таком самом обычном нашем советском селе, где не было ни воды, ни газа, ни дорог, ни автобуса. Мы все ходили босиком, и какие-то нормальные вещи для других людей для нас казались супер, там ванна, горячая вода или что-то в этом роде. Это очень было супер и очень большое. Вот, все детство было таким, и у меня, когда мне было 3 года, умер мой отец, он очень сильно пил, он был алкоголиком, и мама осталась одна с 4 детьми, я младший, мне было 3 года. И я свое детство помню, я очень часто до школы прятался под стол и там жил, потому что я боялся людей, боялся общества, боялся кому-то что-то сказать, что обо мне подумают, как я оделся, то есть полностью был зависим от мнения людей.
I was growing up in a very normal but rather low-scale village life in a poor family in the former Soviet Union. I grew up in a village where my dad died when I was 3 years old, and as far as I could remember myself, we were so poor that sometimes I didn't have shoes to wear. Sometimes we didn't have winter coat, or we didn't have normal things that everybody would normally have. We didn't have hot water in our house. That used to be, that is abnormal, and that is such a level of poverty that made me to develop, growing up with my mother, develop a big sense of inferiority complex. So I was always ashamed and intimidated. I was always so ashamed of how I looked, how I dressed, what people would say about me, what would be people's look at me, their response at me, and how I should behave. When you think that you don't have what every other person is supposed to have, and you are from a poor village, small village, and a poor family, no father, and then you don't have all the elementary things that other children have, that could give you complex. That could develop in you some complex feelings. Well, that was my situation. And so in school or other places where many other people were, I would normally go and hide myself in the box or under the chair or under the table or in some wardrobes, and just for people not to see me. So I said, wow, this is just like Africa. This is almost like Africa, almost, because this is like what I went through in Africa, in my village in Idomila, with this level of poverty and rejection and shame. And that's what I went through too. And so this kind of things exist everywhere. Complexes, shame, lack, poverty, people living beyond below the poverty level. Well, that is the story of Yuri. and Yuri and Iril and Lena. We will hear Lena's part later on, but this Yuri in us his story right now.
И, конечно, рано или поздно нужно выходить в общество. И когда я вышел в общество и не имел своего какого-то стиля жизни и противостоять просто этому миру силы, да, я начал делать то, что требует общество. В 6 лет я начал пробовать курить, в 11 я уже употреблял спиртные напитки и пытался во всем, что делает молодежь, там, подростки, не отставать, потому что иначе я был бы изгоем. То есть ты никто. И вот так я начал свою такую разгульную.
Because of this, my low self-esteem, and some of you have gone through my teachings on father and lack of father in the life of young boys, you know what this one means. So what he's saying is that because of that low self-esteem and inferiority complex that he suffered from, he needed to go out of the village to go and get a job in the town. And when he got to the town and he wanted to feel accepted, he wanted to feel himself accepted in the community, in the society. And the only way for a young man that he saw that he could feel himself accepted is for him to do what other people are doing. And what other people are doing is to smoke, drink, and just live a rough life. So from 7 o'clock, from 7 years old, he started to smoke. Then by 11 years old, he had started to drink. So, so early in his life started going off, and he just started committing crimes, doing horrible things, joining the company of bad people, of hooligans and bandits and bad boys, and, causing havoc in the community just because, and he joined them because of the low self-esteem. You remember where that low self-esteem is coming from? He might not know that, but you should know where that low self-esteem is coming from, especially with the topic we just treated this week. And it's coming from the father. He didn't have a father. And because he didn't have that father, and he's the active type, so he needed to express himself and to make himself feel accepted. Do you remember all what we talked about this week? This is the practical manifestation of that teaching.
Да, и вот с таким стилем жизни я прожил до армии, там, училище, школу. И в армии я, когда было трудно, я начал заглядать в Библию. Был маленький Новый Завет, и я начал немножко его читать. И уже тогда, когда тебе трудно, ты понимаешь, что вот это прятаться, оно не поможет. Жить по чему-то закону, оно не помогает. Ты раб становишься этих людей. И придя уже с армии, я увидел моих друзей. Что они живут жизнью не той красивой, которой мы жили до прихода, в юности своей. Все было красиво, но я увидел, они становятся алкоголиками, они разводятся, они стают бомжами. Я увидел, что это все привело, просто у меня один знакомый там, я пришел, увидел, у него глаз просто выгнивает. И он ничего с этим не делает. Его единственное занятие — это найти 100 грамм, это где-то вот что-то как-то повеселиться. А то, как он выглядит, кто он, его абсолютно не интересовало. И начал уже задумываться о смысле жизни.
So he said he grew up like that. So he was copying the bad boys. He was following the bad boys. Doing everything that he was saying because he wanted to be accepted in the society. He wanted to be accepted in the company of boys. He wanted to feel himself normal. And the way to feel, if he thought he could feel himself normal, is to do all the bad things the bad boys are saying. He would try to be accepted. He tried to please them. So everywhere he went, that was the way he was surviving. So it was a way of survival for him. So in this country, you have to serve in the military. So when he was in the military as well, he was doing the same thing. Drinking, smoking, running after girls and committing all the wrong things just because that's what all the boys were doing. Then he went to high school, and then after high school he went to technical school, and in that school as well, just copying people, doing everything other people were doing because he needed to be accepted. Then one time when he came back from to his village, from the town where he was living, he discovered that all his friends, that they started that, freelance life, free for all life, do whatever you want, taste everything from life. When the people they started that lifestyle together with, it is discovered that they were all done. They were all done. They were all gone. Their lives were becoming very rough. They started becoming alcoholics, drug addicts, criminals, going to prison, getting rotten. Their lives started getting rotten and messed up. And she started seeing one by one all these people getting lost and becoming, wayward people, totally bad, horrible people in the society. And he said, hey, wait a minute, I must do something right now about my life. I must find a way to stop all this mess.
Да, я был зависим от людей, и если кто-то говорил, что я могу что-то сделать, я верил в это. Если кто-то не сказал, я в это не верил. Я не имел собственной, своего взгляда на себя. Я не верил в себя никогда. Пришедший с армии, я пошел работать на ферму, там была у нас ферма в селе, и я пошел работать, чистить просто отходы от коров. Я не верил, что я могу стать кем-то в этой жизни. Абсолютно. Этой веры ей негде было взяться. Потому что мой отец, он тоже работал и там же. Моя мама тоже там работала. И я другой жизни не представлял. Но все-таки, когда мой старший брат купил где-то Библию еще в советское время, и он начал ее читать, начал молиться, и я верю, что именно через него мы все начали потихоньку двигаться к новой жизни. Мой средний брат, он очень тяжело пил, всегда запои, и он начал задумываться, он пошел в церковь, баптистская церковь, и когда он туда пришел, стал на колени, покаялся, Бог его освободил от алкоголизма, от табакокурения, он перестал ругаться, он и по сей день уже 15 или более лет живет совсем другой жизнью. Он был самой настоящей проблемой для моей мамы. Я видел это.
Сколько детей?
Нас 4. Вот я самый младший. Поэтому именно через старшего брата, который поверил в Бога, начал молиться, вся наша семья на данный момент, мы все верующие. Все с Богом.
So things were so bad because my mother was the only one who raised us up. 4 boys. Can you imagine 4 boys and a woman in the village by herself? There was no father. My father died, and she was just working at a very low income farm in the village, and she didn't have her own property, she didn't have her own farm, she was just working in the farm of another person as a laborer. So she couldn't cope with these 4 children, and so we all became street children. My brothers, I was the youngest, my brothers, they were all drinking, and they were all living that kind of lifestyle as well. But just a few years before I started thinking about what life was all about and that I wanted to change my life, one of my brothers that was also drinking so badly and was so wayward in the society that it was a bigger problem to our mother than even myself. And miracle just happened to him. He was so bad, he didn't just know what to do, but somebody gave him, or he bought a Bible. He just somehow came across a Bible, and he started reading the Bible, and one day he went to a church, a Baptist church, and he gave his life, and we just saw the miracle happen with him. He stopped drinking, and his life was changed, and that was the beginning of that transformation in our lives. So through my brother that God saved, I too, followed in his footsteps, started looking for the way out of my problem of drinking and smoking and just living a freelance life.
Да. Когда уже все покаялись, я еще упирался, я хотел гулять, и распорядок моей жизни был таким, что я приходил домой где-то 5-6 утра, спал там до часов 3-4, потом мы шли с друзьями, выпивали вечер, целую ночь мы гуляли, и вот таким образом я думал, освобожусь от комплексов. Ну, потому что когда ты выпьешь, как бы свободен, да? Но потом очень тяжелая вина, ну, цена всего этого. Потому что приходят такие проблемы в твою жизнь. Во-первых, ты не можешь утром поднять голову, ты не знаешь, на каком ты свете, ты не трудоспособен, ты, ну, и кучу всего такого можешь наделать, за что тебе стыдно потом. И я еще больше заходил в комплекс, потому что я делал то, за что мне было стыдно.
Now, my own drinking habit was connected to my complexes. That's because, and that's what I thought, because, and I really had the complexes. You know, and some of you know what I'm talking about when I talk about men and fathers, all right? So my way, the reason I was drinking was that I was trying to find a way out of my complexes because I was always ashamed, I was always feeling inferior, I was always feeling ashamed, I was always having low self-esteem. So I was thinking, how can I just make myself feel normal among other people, among regular people? I want to feel normal, I want to feel accepted. And so I would drink because, you know, what we boys were thinking is that when you drink a little bit, then you become bolder. And that boldness that comes from drinking, that freedom that comes from drinking was what I was looking for in drinking and in vodka and in drinking all that. So I was drinking so much, but because I was drinking every day, I was, you know, when you are drunk, you don't control what you do. You don't always control what happens to you and what you do. And I was drinking so much, I would lose my memory, I would lose everything I've done. So by the time I wake up in the morning, I discover that I've done so much evil and I've destroyed so many things, and so that it brings me more shame. So I couldn't remain myself. So I have to drink again. And so it was just a mess. And so I discovered that I was not getting out of the complex. I was not getting out of this low self-esteem. It was bringing increased low self-esteem because I couldn't look into people's eyes anymore, seeing what I had done, and I couldn't, you know, walk among people because of the bad reputation. And so this was complicated. It was complicating matters more. So drinking doesn't solve. And this an advice to people who are watching, who are thinking that because they have one challenge, that they are going to use a sinful way to resolve that challenge, to use a sinful manner to resolve your problem. Like my case, using alcohol or drinking to come out of my challenges, or you might be trying to use smoking or sex or any kind of sin to come out of your own complex or out of your own trouble, out of your own challenge. It will only complicate matters. It does not resolve your situation. It only complicates matters. It's a vicious circle.
Да. И одной из борьба была у меня тоже, когда все мои верующие, вся семья стала верующей, то был еще один комплекс. Ты родственник верующих людей, может, ты тоже пойдешь, мне было за них стыдно. То есть я был зависим от мнения людей, и передо мной стоял выбор. Либо я иду за семьей, да, тоже становлюсь верующим, либо я иду в противоположную сторону, туда, где мир. Да, он говорит, что это плохо. Как говорил один алкоголик о моем брате, который погибал от алкоголя, он сказал, что пропал человек. Хотя на самом деле...
Лучше бы пил.
Да, лучше, чтобы он пил. Но на самом деле через год, наверное, или через 2, этот Леонид, он умер от алкоголя. Но он говорил, что пропал тот, который пришел к Богу. И я сделал выбор все-таки остаться с семьей. Ну, как бы пойти по этому пути. Я понимал умом, что мне нужно так сделать. Но вот комплексы, они меня держали. Что подумают мои друзья, что скажут в селе и так далее. И когда я переступил через это, я получил свободу. Я уже наоборот старался делать так, чтобы это миру было как бы, ну, что он делает? Мы там раздавали газеты, мы десятину посылали по почте. Ну, это куда вы, бедность, кризис, а вы деньги отдаете, там шлете по почте, у вас что, много денег. Но мы это делали, и мы начали по-настоящему жить. Я освободился. И по сей день я свободен.
Сколько лет уже?
Ну, где-то около...
15?
Ну, где-то так.
So, of course, you know, living in the village, and because I went back to the village, started working there in a very low-paying work in the village. When you look in the village, you have many options here. I mean, you have very few options here. So that added to my complexes. Another thing that added to my complexes was that I had a brother who was a believer. And my alcoholic drinking friends were always laughing at me and say, oh, your family is having that believer, that Christian, that Baptist. You know, like Baptist is like, it's like calling you a cultist. It's like saying you are occultic. It's, you know, it's like one of the most horrible names here in this country, that you are a believer. So, you know, they were laughing, and so to overcome that complex and that shame of facing my friends to tell them that I'm from a family where people are praying, you know, that was like a major disgrace. But, you know, something happened, because one of the guys that was really making a jest and joke at me and my brother, that my brother was, that this guy used to be a normal guy before me. Now he has joined the cult. He has joined the believers cult, the Baptist cult. We've lost him. We've lost him. So this alcoholic guy used to say that they have lost this believer. We have lost him. We used to have a guy here, but it's now he's gone. We lost the guy. That can you imagine? My brother was killing himself through alcoholism. He was dying out of alcoholism. Everybody was saying, yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah, he's a guy. He was the hero. But when they got saved, stop drinking, stop smoking, you know, stop beating people around, started behaving well, and he became a believer, started going to a Baptist church. Now the society and the village and the community started saying, we used to have a guy here, but he's gone. We lost him. The guy is gone. What do you mean you lost him? You know, but you know what happened? The guy who was the main proponent of that idea that my brother was lost, that you've lost him, he's hopeless, he's totally lost. So, and I was ashamed of being called lost like that as well. And I would not go to church. But what happened was that other guy kept on drinking. He kept on doing his own lifestyle, drinking with other people. And a year later, that one that was the leader of the gang that was saying we lost my brother who stopped drinking and he kept on drinking, that guy died of alcoholism, young boy, but he was drinking so much that he was killed. He died of alcoholism. He died of drinking too much. And my eyes opened that, we just lost this one proper. We lost him physically. He's the one who died. So I said, and my brother is still alive. That was the turning point for me. And I knew Satan will always try to laugh at you. Satan will always try to make jest of you, to joke at you when you take the right decision. But you know what? He who laughs last laughs best. It's better for you to be on the side of God, while let people laugh at you, against you, let people laugh at you, let people make jest and joke at you. But when you are going the right way, no matter who is against you, no matter how many of them are against you, no matter how much you think you are in the minority, when you obey God, when you live by God's principle, when you live right, you know what? You will laugh last. And that was what got me knowing that, oh, wow, I don't want to end with it like this guy ended. I better follow my family. So that's how I came to the Lord. God saved my whole family. We got saved, started serving God. Everything changed, and we started doing our best from there to begin to change the city, the village that we were living in, and started just living full-fledged, fully for God.
Да, и так я пришел в церковь, покаялся вопреки своим комплексам, принял водное крещение, и через определенное время, где-то через года 3 или 4, я вернулся в это же село, но уже с позиции миссионера. И я начал там служение. Там была уже домашняя группа, и я уже приехал туда как пастырь, уже проводить служение как в церкви.
А вы узнавали?
Ну да, но вот Юрчик, вот Юрасик, маленький, такой всегда, знаете, все видели меня маленьким, незначущим, и тут он пастор, видимо, думает, крыша поехала, что-то, да, зазомбировали, знаете, как обычно начинается. Но я на самом деле приехал-то свободный, а они все были в комплексах. Я нес Евангелие всем, раздавали газеты, то есть делали все, не боялись ничего. И когда люди приходили на служение, каялись, они тоже ощущали эту свободу. Но я видел проблему. Они были зависимы, так как я раньше от мнения людей, и это их удерживало от того, они переставали ходить в церковь. Этот комплекс, он очень силен в селах. Мнение людей. И я вырвался с этого, но многие еще в этом пребывают.
So what I discover is that, later on God raised me up. I went to town, grew up, studied, became a missionary to that same village and brought the word of salvation to them and became a pastor in that village. And of course, many of them their lives were changed, gave their lives, but many of them couldn't keep on with the Lord because of the complexes. You see, I'm talking about this for you to know the power of complex and shame, the power of public opinion. Like I said, it was that shame and complex that made me to become alcoholic. It was that complex and shame that made me to join the bad company. It was that shame and low self-esteem that now is holding back people in that village from coming to the Lord. Because even though they knew this was the right thing to do, but because they were afraid of public opinion, because complex will make you to be afraid of public opinion. So because they were afraid of what the village people will say, what the neighbors will say, and that is why most of them would not, remain with the Lord. And many people are going to hell for this very same reason. There are a lot of things that God might have told you that are watching me right now, and you are not, free enough or bold enough to do them just because you are afraid of public opinion. You are afraid of what people will say. You are ashamed of what the reaction of your friends will be, of your relatives will be, of people who know you will be. You know what? You will laugh last, and their own laughter will be very short. So complex is a weapon in the hand of Satan. Low self-esteem is a weapon in the hand of Satan that he uses to hold us back. That's what he uses to stop us from fulfilling the will of God and to destroy our personality. I got free from it, and I hope that some of you might still be suffering from that, will get free from that today.
Друзья, нельзя жить в комплексах. Нужно жить перед Богом, не перед людьми. И я сейчас являюсь, благодаря этой победе, пастором церкви в городе Фастове. Там у нас есть служение всевозможные, детское, там, прославление, молитва, но также мы еще и ведем социальные направления. Это детский клуб, это женское движение, также для созависимых проводится работа. Но всего бы этого не было, если бы я остался под влиянием комплексов. Поэтому слава Господу за то, что Он меня освободил от этого, и я могу Ему служить. Я могу в свободе сам быть и показывать тот путь, который я прошел, да, показывать, что возможен выход. И спасибо Богу, спасибо пастору, спасибо церкви. Также я был пастором домашней группе.
Yes. So I want to thank God. I want to share my story with you guys to know that even someone like me that was having a horrible and terrible challenge with complexes and that was doing so many evil things because of complex and because of low self-esteem, that today I'm free. I'm not just free, I got victory over complex. It is possible for you to get your victory over shame. It is possible for you to get victory over complexes. It is possible for you to get, victory over low self-esteem. If you will, just focus more on what the purpose of God is for your life, on the end result. And the end result is that you will laugh last. If you will just remember that everybody's opinion is temporary, you will laugh last, because people, they will lose it all. They will lose everything they are bragging of. In fact, the whole world is temporary. Everything here is temporal. They will lose it. Everything will go, but you will have the benefit, the victory here on earth and in heaven. And thanks to that freedom, I got my freedom, stopped drinking, stopped smoking, became a minister, and now I'm a pastor, in a city here, in a city that is called Fastov. And now I'm setting other people free. I just want you to know that this is one of the reasons as well why some people who are Christians already, they cannot enter into full-time into the ministry or carry out the ministry that God has for them. Either it's full-time or it is just ministry that they are supposed to be doing. You know that there are some things that you are supposed to do. You know that God is called you and is challenging you or is calling you to do some certain things, and there are some calling that is upon your life. There are some giftings that you have that you are not releasing, that you are not fulfilling. You know that you are supposed to be telling your story or, sharing whatever God has taken you from or whatever He has given you victory over. But because of shame and because of complexes and because of low self-esteem and because of what people will say, public opinion, you dare not go and do a television show or a program or a social media program or something that will reveal who you are and that will be able to help other people set free. Until you are able to set yourself free and forget about people's opinion, you will not really be able to minister. You will not really be able to become fully who God wants you to become. And as a result, I'm a pastor now, and I'm fulfilling my life. I'm living a free life, a full life, just because God set me free from low self-esteem, complex, and public opinion.
И Бог мне помогал в том, чтобы я поднимал свою самооценку. Очень много случаев в жизни, когда мне доверяли определенные посты. То есть в селе, где я был пастором, мне предложили, и я стал директором Дома культуры. Потом я учился в университете Драгоманова, мне поставили старостой. То есть я видел обстоятельства, что Бог не хочет, чтобы я о себе думал низко. Бог хотел поднять мою самооценку. А уже от меня зависело, возьму я это или нет. Когда я стал перед этим Домом культуры, он такой большой, я такой маленький, я видел себя маленьким, ничего не значащим. Но я взял это, и через это Бог поднимал мою самооценку. Так что не нужно Богу противиться, принимаем, да будет воля Твоя, сей раб Господень, и Бог вот так меня вел. Сейчас...
Satan will always like you to think lower than God wants you to think. Satan is the one that makes people to think that they are actually nothing. Satan will lie to you and say that you don't worth anything and you don't deserve anything, that you shouldn't think of yourself serious, that you don't have anything to give. I thought I didn't have anything to give, especially, because I had an excuse. Remembering my story, I remember where I was coming from, my poverty, my fatherlessness, my village, my lack, so Satan will point to all those things that you lacked. Satan will point to all those things that you didn't have as the excuse for you not to be successful. And Satan will convince you that you don't deserve to be respected, that you don't deserve to be honored, that you don't deserve so that you are not good enough to do anything for anybody, that nobody will respect you, that nobody will follow you, that you are not good enough, and that is what complex does. Complex is trying to make you to focus more on yourself than it is necessary. And the freedom from complex is to be free from complex is for you to stop looking at yourself, stop focusing on yourself, stop focusing on how what you think about yourself. Either you don't deserve it, or you have low self-esteem, or you are good or you are not good enough. Focus on the mission, focus on the goal, focus on the calling, focus on the purpose, focus on the assignment, focus on trying to please the master. Focus on the master. If your focus will be solely on the master, if you focus on the one that died for you, if you focus for what it means and ways to please him, and if you are looking for how to please him, if you are not the center of your life anymore, if he becomes the center of your life, if you make him your center, the centrality of your life, you will see that you stop looking at yourself, you stop looking at the complexes, you stop looking at the low self-esteem, you stop hearing what people are saying about you, because you are only hearing him. But for that to happen, you need to focus on him. He must become your focus. If he becomes your focus, then you will not be held back by complexes, low self-esteem, or public opinion anymore.
Раньше я думал, от меня ничего не зависит, но Бог поменял. От меня зависит очень многое. И в моей жизни, и в жизни тех людей, с которыми я сталкиваюсь. И как говорят у нас в Украине, с кем йшов такой, який йшов такой из дебов, моя жена, она имела тоже подобные проблемы. И я ей сейчас передам слово, чтобы она рассказала свою историю. Наши истории очень похожи. Бог выводил нас именно из рабства комплекса.
And the reason why we came together with my wife is that she had a similar problem as well. So I want her to also share her own story, how God gave the two of us victory over low self-esteem. The victory over low self-esteem. Yep, Lena. That was Yura who just finished talking. Now this is Lena.
Да, меня зовут Елена. Я вообще родом с Ровенской области и также с села. Родилась в многодетной семье. На семье было 8.
Семья верующая, да?
Ну, как бы православные. Так, сейчас я недавно узнала, что как бы мои предки, они были пятидесятники. Оказывается, дедушка, он был даже пресвитером в церкви. Это их молитвы, да. А папа, мама, они... Это мамы, родители мамы, они были пятидесятническими служителями.
Вы жили вместе с папой?
Да. Я жила вместе с папой, с мамой до того, как закончила школу. И жизнь моя была как бы, у нас там насколько нищета, можно сказать. То, как мы жили, мы пахали на огородах, мы обрабатывали очень много земли гектарами, потому что земля у нас не очень была плодовитая, и мы засевали много, или засаживали там картошку, или засевали там пшеницу и другие растения, которые мы собирали, как вот еще первобытные, вот так мы сжинали их руками и собирали этот урожай. Еще как мы зарабатывали на жизнь, у нас леса и там ягоды,
Значит,
грибы.
вот это в основном эти комплексы шли от нищеты, да?
Да.
От того, что семья была бедная. То есть это связано, но папа не пил, никто не пил, не курил.
Ну как, он иногда мог, потому что как бы...
Но это в основном из-за нищеты, да?
Да, потому что...
She said that the complex that she also had a very similar story with her husbands. And our own story is that she grew up in a family of 8 children. In this country, that is totally abnormal. The average number of children people have in this country is 2 children. 1 son, 1 boy normally. That is, if you have 3 children here, it means you are having a big family here if you have 3 children. In fact, the government would declare you as a big family that needs government sponsorship if you have 3 children. But in their own case, they had 8 children. 8 children. Because they were a religious family. I guess the mother didn't want to do abortion or something like that. So, and they were a religious family, and they were, because they were having all those children, and it was during communist time when you couldn't have your own business, you couldn't do anything you want on your own, you couldn't make your own money. And so they only had limited amount of finances and limited amount of money, and they were living in the village, so money was hard to come across, and they had a difficult time to sustain that family. So because of the poverty and the horrible lifestyle that they had to go through growing up as teenagers and as children, that she said she was so ashamed of her lifestyle, of her poverty, of her village, of her family, of all the things they lack, and that was what our complex was connected with.
Да, но я много любила читать. Когда училась в школе, папа нас заставлял учиться, делать задания. Мы так были научены, мы сами делали домашние задания. Папа даже никогда не проверял эти задания. Он наказывал, когда только мы получали плохую оценку. И это мне привило, я постоянно училась, и я очень любила читать. И читая истории, где-то я не соглашалась вот с такой жизнью. Я читала истории, что есть другая жизнь, что можно жить по-другому. И я не хотела оставаться, и даже когда с одноклассниками разговаривала, всегда уже в старших классах, уже когда задумались, а куда пойдем учиться, на какую профессию выберем, я говорила, я буду учительницей или воспитателем в детском саду. Я в селе точно не останусь. Это, да, если я и вернусь в село, так я все равно, есть возможность, что есть другая жизнь.
So yeah, it was that poverty that made her. But one good thing in her own case was that she was not drinking or using drugs or she was the quiet type, studied well, worked hard, and so because she worked hard and she was studying a lot and she studied well, she knew that she would not remain in that village. She knew that education was the way for her to make her way ahead or in life, and to get out of the village and to getting a better job and making a future for herself.
Когда я окончила школу, случилось так, я пыталась поступать в институт, и 2 раза я провалилась на экзаменах, то есть я не поступила. И сложилось такое впечатление, когда я шла поступать, поступали те, у кого были какие-то связи или у кого были деньги. А что я училась, и комплекс, который был низкой самооценки, он усиливался. У меня ничего не получится. В этот момент моя старшая сестра через определенные проблемы, она пришла к Богу. Одна из старших сестер покаялась именно в полноевангельской церкви. Мировая жатва в городе Житомире. Нет, в городе Житомире.
So while I was, even though I was studying very well in high school, and I knew that it was through education that I was going to get my deliverance from the village life and from that life of poverty and shame and low self-esteem. But like it normally happens in life, you don't always get what you want. So they have entrance exams here in this country. So when you finish your high school, you need to give entrance exam for you to get admission into a university. Just like they have in Africa, if you are from Nigeria, they have what they call JAMB or something like that. When I was there, that was what it was called, JAMB. And not everybody gets admitted by JAMB, even though you could pass your high school, but you don't get into JAMB. So the same thing was with me, with this lady. She finished high school, got good result, but she couldn't get the admission into university. She couldn't get enough marks, and she didn't have connection. Here also, in the during communism, and even now, people can use connection. You could use corruption to get people that you know to get you connected and get you admitted. And she couldn't get that. So she tried for 2 or 3 consecutive years to get herself admitted into university. She couldn't, and that increased her complex. That was when a real low self-esteem started. It started growing, and she thought she was not worthy. She's not deserving. She's not good for anything. And those kind of complexes that come when you fail, and they started coming to her life. But in the midst of all that, when she was so disillusioned with life and she didn't know what to do, where to go, they had many children in the family. One of the children in the family, the sister that had gone to another city, another state in the country here, got saved. So because of the salvation of that sister, she came back to tell them about Christ. That was the beginning of their deliverance.
И снова же по определенных ситуациях папа меня отправляет помогать ей. Ну как, она покаялась, у нее было, она получила исцеление. Ей должны были делать операцию в нейроинституте, а пришли к ней в палату верующие, они молились за нее, и она получила исцеление. И это было очень большим свидетельством для всей нашей семьи. Но папа, как бы он, да, Бог, но надо помочь ей, это было время, осень подходила, надо помочь собирать урожай, картошку копать. Ты должна поехать, чтобы, не дай Бог, она не нарушила снова, потому что она очень похудела, она весила много килограмм, она стала очень худой, и это все как бы внешне даже выражалось. И я так приехала к ней, но ее очень мудро наставили люди, которые привели ее к Богу. Они сказали, что вам надо найти церковь, вот такую, полноевангельскую, чтобы вы ее посещали. Если вам неудобно на Житомир, найдите где-то церковь, которую вы должны посещать. И она искала и именно выбрала слово веры, которое недавно открылось в городе Киеве. Ей было удобно ездить, хотя 2 часа это было, но она ездила на Киев, и так она пригласила меня с собой поехать в церковь в одно из воскресений.
Это была наша церковь?
Да, это было слово веры, это было ДК Королева, это было 1996 год. И я, можно сказать, впервые, как первый раз, что так поехать в Киев. Если я была в Киеве, это проездом. Я поехала в церковь. И когда попросили в конце выйти на покаяние, я вообще вот в этих комплексах, я говорю, а что это такое? Нет, люди идут, а что это такое? Я не пойду. И первый раз я не пошла на покаяние. Но когда я приехала второй раз, я посмотрела, что такое покаяние, как это происходит. И на второй раз, это было 1 сентября как раз, я очень хорошо это запомнила. Я сама побежала, когда шел призыв к покаянию.
Well, to cut the long story short, Lena was telling a story about she going to visit a sister who had just gotten saved, she got saved in another church, but that church said, go to any church you want, and she saw the embassy of God. She heard about the embassy of God, and she was living 2 hours away, that sister, and the sister was traveling 2 hours to come to Embassy of God Church from a village from a town to Embassy of God in Kiev, in the capital. And she went to see the sister in that village, and with a complex, and she lost exams, and she didn't have what to do because she didn't get admitted, so she wanted to go and help the sister and just live with her. And then the sister invited her to the church, and of course, because of the complex she was having, and what in the Embassy of God, when she got there, they told that they tell people to come forward if you want to give your life to Christ. And that was a major problem, a crisis for someone like her who was having low self-esteem and complexes. And she couldn't come. She couldn't come forward. She couldn't come to give her life. She couldn't go forward to commit her life to Jesus Christ because she was ashamed, and she was feeling low self-esteem because she was thinking, what is going to, she was just ashamed of going forward. And it took her coming back to church several times before she actually committed, and that was the beginning of her deliverance.
И так я пришла, отдала свою жизнь Богу, посвятила ее Иисусу, и, слава Богу, начались изменения в моей жизни. Правда, очень тяжело мне это давалось, очень тяжело, но благодаря вашим проповедям, Слову Божьему, которое вы несли, жизнь моя, она изменялась. Я сразу приняла решение, что я буду поступать по Слову Божьему всегда и правильно стараться. То есть я решила не идти в компании никакие, хотя в селе, в котором я жила, вот у сестры я осталась жить. После этого, то есть как бы от папы я сразу, как я только пришла в церковь, я в тот же день, когда я покаялась, мы приехали, а на следующий день я пошла и я устроилась на работу в этом селе, на ферму. Потому что оценка заниженная, и я больше для себя не представляла, потому что я поступала в институт, у меня не получилось. И я решила идти делать то, что я могу. И уже там Бог начал являть себя в моей жизни. Буквально за месяц мне это дали свою как бы группу, это то, что люди там годами работают.
Только не над людьми, а над животными.
Над животными, да.
Свои уже.
Да. Но люди там работают, и они годами не имели этой возможности. А я в свои 18 лет, я сразу мне доверили это. И этот руководитель этого колгоспа, он буквально в первый год уже дал мне премию за хорошую работу, за то, что я хорошо относилась к работе. За 3 года, каждый год у меня были премии, и люди начали как бы даже завидовать и говорить, о, там, богомольно, и этим как бы доставать, и говорить, а вот, может, Бог тебя призвал, чтобы ты показывала правильный образ на дискотеке ходить, как молодежь, чтобы себя вела. Но где-то внутри у меня все-таки было, что если я пойду туда, этот мир, он меня засосет. Ну, это понимание пришло благодаря тому, что, несмотря на эти сложности, я все-таки посещала церковь каждое воскресенье. Потом я посещала ночные молитвы, которые проводились. Да, было трудно, потому что иногда прямо с ночной молитвы я приезжала и шла на работу сразу. А потом снова утром поднималась, но это давало рост. Я росла, и моя самооценка, она тоже росла.
Well, she's just talking about our own process of getting free from low self-esteem, complexes, and public opinion. So when she gave her life eventually in the church, she discovered that the next day she needed to go to work. She was looking for work, and but she was employed. She was employed in a farm because that was, how low her self-esteem was. Because she thought, since I was not good enough for a university education, I didn't get admitted. Maybe I should just go and work in the farm. So she just she was so low of herself, thinking low of herself. She went to work in the farm. And in the farm, what do you do in the farm? Looking after the cows and things like that. Even though she was, but she said her own complex did not go away immediately. She needed to apply the principles that were being taught in the church. So some of us who are watching this program today, your complexes might not go away immediately you come to the Lord. Maybe you need to work on it. Maybe you need to apply the principles. Maybe you need to, go through the process. So maybe you will not immediately overcome the fear of public opinion, but you need to work on it. You need to work on it. You need to begin to do things that you might be ashamed of doing, that you are not bold enough to do. You need to confront your fear. So I confronted my fear by going to do the best and to be my best. So I've been taught in the church to be the best you could be in wherever you are. So I was being the best I was among the cows in the village there and in the farm. And then I got promoted. I kept on getting promoted, and people were, I had challenges because before, if not because of that salvation experience and, working on my self-esteem, I would have been compromised because many people were telling me to go to discotheque and, nightclubs and, all those places that other young people were going. I was only 18, and so much pressure was coming. But because I had this anchor of salvation and of being taught in the church by the principle that Pastor Sandey was teaching, I could hold on, and I was able to stand on the principles of overcoming. So I didn't go the way of my husband when he got compromised by the friends and by the company that he was in, because he wanted to please them. He wanted to live like them. But I had a father, I had a mother, and now I got saved. So I was applying those principles, and I was able to keep myself pure and also getting promoted in my job. So I began to have more self-confidence. So sometimes another thing that could help you overcome your self-confidence is to have results. So you know, results might be able to help you. And the results that I was having, that I was seeing promotion at my work, that I was better than all other people, and that I was being recognized for my work, also gave me some confidence. So results, when you are result-oriented and you have results, and other people are giving you recognition for your results, that could help you to overcome low self-esteem as well.
Так, деньги, которые я зарабатывала, так как я жила в Сестры, я тратила на учебу. И я дистанционно оканчиваю Харьковский финансово-экономический институт и получаю специальность бухгалтер-аудит. И хотя я пошла уже не то, что я мечтала, но для меня это было, вот, я могу, у меня получилось, и моя самооценка, она еще больше выросла, потому что у меня получилось выучиться, и я продолжала свой путь в Господе, я росла в церкви, я посещала институты все, которые при церкви, школы, которые проходили, я обучалась, молитвенная школа, я туда, Иисус Навин, я туда, то есть все, что было, какое образование в церкви, которое давалось, и это росла моя вера, росла моя и самооценка, и комплексы, они уходили. И так я закончила институт и перешла в это время как раз служить, открылась на одном из служений, я услышала, что открылась церковь в городе Фастове, который был, мне полчаса было ехать от моего села. И а я уже чувствовала благодаря лидерам, которые меня поднимали, это пастор Леся Алексю, которая во Львове, сестра пастора Елены Дзевулька, они очень мне помогли. И я перешла служить уже, я уже шла, я чувствовала, я могу уже служить другим, я уже могу помогать другим, таким как я, благодаря же снова Слову Божьему и проповедям, которые вы нам давали. И я перешла служить в город Фаста, и помогала пастору во всем, что пастор просила, я всегда старалась помогать. Группа порядка, молитва, аудиослужение, то есть я везде себя пробовала. Но в это время я еще работала в селе и приезжала с села на Фастовскую церковь и служила.
Another principle that could help you to, get yourself free from complexes and low self-esteem is self-education. So even though I didn't get admitted to the university, but I didn't quit getting myself educated. I didn't quit working on myself. I didn't stop doing self-education. So if you really want to improve yourself, if you really want to get rid of the low self-esteem and complexes, you need to work on yourself. You need to add value to yourself. So I was adding value to myself. So while I was working in that farm and with those cows, I was getting my degrees. So I got as many diplomas and certificates as possible. I got a certificate as an accountant. I got a degree as an auditor. I got, other degree, certificates from the church, of the schools and trainings. So I was doing professional trainings, and, I was adding value to myself. So that is another thing that helped me. After adding so much value to myself and, increasing my self-worth in myself, creating self-worth in me, I then discovered that I then discovered the next principle that will help you get freedom from low self-esteem, which was you have to begin to serve other people. You have to begin to help other people. For you to really totally get a freedom and get free from low self-esteem, begin to serve others, begin to minister to others, begin to to give to others what you lacked, to begin to give to others what they need, begin to serve others, just stewardship, begin to do for others what you got free from. So that is what I began to do as well. And as I was doing that, I totally felt that no, I was a new person, and now I could lead others, and eventually I became a leader to other people.
И в это время мы молились.
Вы там познакомились?
Да. В это время в Пастове, пришел в церковь мой будущий муж, да. И там
меня не заметили.
Не заметили?
Нет, даже не помнят, что я пришел.
Ну, я себе была увлечена служением, потому что я слушала те учения, которые вы нам давали. Для меня главное было служение, и образцовой семьи я не видела. Или пыли, или гуляли, или...
Украина.
Или бились, дрались. То есть я не видела образца, я только решила, что я иду за Богом, и замуж нет. Я не собираюсь замуж. И когда Юрий сделал мне предложение, для меня это было как бы шок. Я говорила, почему я, сколько девушек в церкви. Ну, это не мое, почему вы именно меня выбрали. Но, тем не менее, я сказала, хорошо, я подумаю, потому что я тоже была научена правильно. Я старалась вести себя правильно, чтобы людям не делать больно, чтобы у людей тоже, потому что сама страдала от заниженной самооценки, поэтому я старалась не делать, я понимала тех людей, у которых заниженная самооценка.
So, to end my testimony, let me tell you that as I was beginning to serve, so this is where, it's interesting. So you work on yourself, self-education, then you begin to minister to others, help, or, whatever God has set you free from, begin to use it as your platform. Begin to use whatever God has delivered you from as your product. Begin to use your sorrow, your pain, your bad experiences, to begin to use it as the key to setting other people free. Like we, as a family, we were having complexes as our challenge. Now we know that there are so many other people like us, millions of them out there, who need that kind of freedom. They were dreaming of getting free from complexes. So we turn that to our ministry. We turn that to our product. And that's what we should do. So when you begin to now serve other people and helping them to get set free from whatever you have suffered from before, you get even more free. You get more confidence. And that's what I was busy doing. I was so busy ministering to other people, and I was so consumed by ministry that I didn't even notice that my husband had joined the church, and he was a member of the church, and I didn't even see him. I was so focused, because that's what Pastor taught us, that if you are not married, be focused on the things of God. Focus on your calling. Focus on your destiny. Just be focused and be consumed by what God has asked you to do. And a person that is not married should be focused and should be consumed by the things of the Lord, should care for the things of the Lord. So I didn't even notice he was in the church. I didn't even never saw him. But while I was busy doing the work of God, God brought the right person into my life. And that's how we've been taught. So if you will be busy and be consumed with the work of God, if you will be totally committed to, to your mission, to your calling, to your priorities, if you get your priority right, God knows how to fix other things. He said, when you seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness first, when you put him as number one, then he will know how to put other things in place and in order in your life as well.
Но все даже обстоятельства ситуации так слаживались, что я молилась, и все-таки я приняла решение выходить замуж. Но я продолжала учиться, я продолжала служить, и Юрий, он этому не мешал, он наоборот поддерживал. И будучи уже в Господе, я закончила Драгоманова институт, мы вместе, уже имея детей, закончили институт. И еще много можно рассказывать тех чудес, что Бог, как Бог изменял, как Бог продвигал меня. На сегодня я служу возле пастора. Еще буквально 3 года назад я даже не могла, у меня даже мысли не приходили в голову, что я могу жить в Киеве, а тем более служить возле такого пастора. Это для меня было недостижимо. Но благодаря я могу.
While we were married with my husband, we decided to go and get another degree. And so we kept on improving ourselves, just, doing self-education and also getting degrees. So we finished another university together. And then, but 3 years ago, it's a long story, but we moved over to Kiev. And now, can you believe it? The greatest dream happened to me, what I could never even have imagined. That I never even dreamt that I could ever be in the place where I am right now. Right now, I'm a personal assistant to Pastor Bossett, Pastor Sandey's wife. This is a dream that I could never even dream of it. I didn't even pray for it because I never even expected something like that could happen. I could consider being an assistant to an ordinary pastor, but to be the assistant to the senior pastor, to be the personal assistant to the senior pastor, I never even dreamt of it. I never even dreamt of coming to live in the capital, in Kiev. And now I am here, and I'm where I am. It's just a dream come true. And that also is based on you keeping on developing yourself, overcoming, never relenting in your efforts, never stop, improving yourself, pushing yourself. And, God will take you to where you belong.
Да, на этом мы хотим еще показать те фотографии, которые у нас сбереглись от прошлой нашей жизни. Вот это строительство Божьего дома, в котором я принимал участие. Я там жил на том месте и считал для меня большой честью от Бога, что я могу там пребывать и строить этот Божий храм. Насколько Бог, Он показал мне возможности моей жизни, открыл новые возможности.
So he was showing a photograph of them building a church in the city where they were.
Да, это наша свадьба.
This is their marriage.
Мы красивые, счастливые, без комплексов.
Now we are set free from complexes, and we are a very happy couple here, isn't it?
И не боимся фотографировать.
No more afraid of taking photographs.
Да. Это вот в селе, где я был миссионером, первая домашняя группа.
This is the village where I was a missionary to, where I grew up. I almost died of complex and addiction.
Это в том же селе мы со своим первенцем, с сыном Святославом.
That's where we got our first son with my wife in that village.
Это как моя жена принимала водное крещение, посвящая свою жизнь Богу. Вот ее первая работа.
See the photograph. This is a confirmation of how poor we were. You see, we were in the village. She was with her mother, I guess, or with her sister, one of her sisters. See how poor she was. She was working in that farm. She was like a village girl working in the farm with cows. See the photograph. That's a proof of where we're coming from.
приехал журналист из районной газеты, и это фотография.
So this shows how poor we are and where we're coming from, where God has taken us from.
А вот она со своей сестрой по сторонам. А
This is
посред-
another photograph here. You see the cows in the background? That is where we are coming from. Where they were walking in the with the cows, with the animals in the village like this.
А посередине это человек, который взял просто духовное покровительство и помогал их, ну, вел их по, как бы с Богом, да? Наставлял их, наставник.
Да. Хорошо.
Это когда пастор Сандей приезжал к нам в город Фастов.
This was the first time we met Pastor Sunday physically when he came to our town, yes, that was Pastor Sunday in the middle there many years ago, like maybe 20 years ago.
Да. Это когда у нас в Фастове проводилась школа Соломон, студенты.
Yeah, that was when they were starting to minister.
Это вот наша красавица в хоре, моя жена.
She was also she became bold and joined the choir.
Да, попробую в такую не влюбиться.
And in the choir.
Это наша помолвка.
Yeah, that was us doing our engagement.
И, как я говорил, Бог меня поднимал. Это я в консерватории в Киеве на концерте звезд украинской эстрады.
So here I'm a musician as well, so I now do concerts and organize concerts, singing concerts and playing concerts in the.
Когда я стал директором Дома культуры, к нам приезжала вот такая наша звезда украинская, Наталья Бучинская.
Here I was with one of the stars of Ukrainian singers, and I was the director of cultural homes.
Вот, так что Бог поднимает, ведет, и мы смиряемся.
If you will fight against your complexes, God will take you places.
Спасибо.
Thank you so much for your time. So,
Спасибо.
Да,
Да.
спасибо, спасибо, пастор.
so much. Thank you, Pastor. You know, so that's a story of how people go because the inner complexes and the inner challenges, sometimes they are much more difficult to overcome than outward challenges. So let's say thank you to Yuri and Lena. Thank you, Yuri and Lena. So Yuri and Lena came to tell us their story of victory over complexes and how God has taken them from some forgotten village somewhere to become, the assistants to my wife. And two of them now are in my wife's, in the Central Church, in my wife's team. And one is a pastor and one is a personal assistant to Pastor Bosse. And Yuri and Lena, they are doing great now. They are now setting other people free. Glory to God. So thank you, everyone. And vam applaudirut.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, vam applaudirut. Okay, Monica said, Pastor Sunday, may the Lord bless you for all the good work. You are blessed. Lola Shorunka, beautiful couple, thank you for blessing us on this platform. Yeah. The Oluwatope Sheun said your library could be your passport to the world. Yes, the power of self-education. That's right. Elizabeth Aina said, amen. Yes, our testimonies is not to be kept to ourselves. It's so that others going through the same thing can draw strength and be blessed. For we overcome by the word of our testimony. Praise God. Thanks for this wonderful testimony. Yep. Inkiru Pishit Molatse. We pomnite kniki is Arkova. Anaparuski Pishit. The actual pastor of light was.
Спасибо. Спасибо.
City of David God Embassy, that's Belgium. God bless you, Pastor, for his good conscience for the call of God. All right, guys. Well, tomorrow we are going to start another series. Tomorrow is Monday, and we are going to start another series. And That series will be on women. I'm contemplating on what to call it. Either how to be a good wife, maybe. Maybe I should talk about how to good. I have many ideas in my mind. I want to talk to ladies. I know for sure that I'm supposed to talk to women, but I don't know what to talk to them about right now. Should I talk to? I don't know. I'm not sure who are the main people on our platform. But I guess most people in our platform are probably married. If most people on our platform are married, then I'll be talking to married women. If the people on our platform are not married, then I'll be talking to them as single women. So that is, I spoke with someone today, and the person, TY actually, she told me that maybe I should talk to the married women. So is that what we should do? Well, maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but yeah, that is one thing. Wives, right? Wives. Okay, so I should talk to wives. Okay. About how to be good wives. That's what the boys want. That's what the men want. All right. Oh, someone is saying talk about singles also. Okay. How to serve the man better. Okay. How to be a good wife. Well, all right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. So talk to you people tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. God bless. Bye. Good night.